Hi, this is Sarah, and today I'm going to show you even more cool activities that you can do in Seesaw. Whether you have a word sort that you would like to share as a Seesaw activity, or maybe you have a worksheet or some really awesome lesson book that you want to share as a Seesaw activity that your students can write on, you can do that in Seesaw, and right now I'm going to show you how. First of all, keep in mind that in the Seesaw Community Library and in the school and district library, there are many foundations activities already for you to use and share with your students. You can also search for word sorts. So this first item here is a link to foundations activities that are in the community library. This is a link to foundations activities that are in the school and district library. There are a lot in there. But you can also make your own word sort custom. So you can either copy and edit one that you find out there, or you can use this blank word sort template that I have here. If you click on this link, it will open this up in Seesaw for you to use as a teacher. You can click Save Activity. When you save your activity, it'll look like this. This is in my library. I've already hearted it, so it'll be in my library. This is one that I made. You're welcome to use it as you wish. In order to customize it for your students, first of all, notice that it has basic instructions here using the Seesaw icon shortcuts. And these are really helpful for students to have a lot of clarity when you're giving them instructions. If you want to edit the template, you'll click on the three dots and then you'll choose copy and edit activity. I already have the activity, so I'm just going to edit it. And you can customize the name, the instructions. Remember that you can add voice instructions as an accommodation for all of your students. And you can change this template, and you'll just click on it to change it. I want to point out that in order for your students to use this template, first of all, you can fill in the words very easily. With the blue hand selected, you'll tap on the word and you could change this. So you could have ing words or whatever you want to add here. And once you start to add your words, I want you to notice that if you tap on the three dots, you can change the style, you can change the color of the words, you can lock or unlock items. And it's important to notice that you can do that because these items, these 20 words that you can fill in, are all unlocked, whereas these three blue rectangles and these three white rounded rectangles are all locked, as well as these names up here. So if you want to change it so that instead of saying group one, it says ing, you're going to tap the three dots, you'll unlock it, and then you can change it so that it says ing. And then when you're done, you'll tap the three dots and lock it again. And the reason that you lock it is because students will move these words into the correct category. But if you have these unlocked, then students could accidentally move those too, and it does get a little confusing for them. Something you can tell them in the instructions is they can click the microphone while they're moving their items, and it will record the whole process. And if they talk about their word sort as they're doing it, it will not only capture the end result of the word sort, but it'll let you have an opportunity to hear your students thinking as you go. So I have shared this template with you. You are welcome to use it or find another word sort that works better for your circumstances. And that's how you make a word sort. You can actually do the same thing in Seesaw using picture sorts, and you would just do that by clicking on the camera and then uploading items. So for example, in kindergarten, we teach about pushes and pulls. You could have one part of the page for pushes, one part of the page for pulls, and you can upload multiple images that students could then drag into the boxes to sort them between pushes and pulls as an example. Remember that if you use the Seesaw icon shortcuts in your custom activities, that it'll help your students to understand your instructions better. It'll make those instructions clearer to them. And also remember that you can always add voice recorded instructions as well. If you have worksheets or online books or any other resource that you want to turn into a Seesaw activity, it's easy to do that, and you can create activities that your students can write on. And right now I'm going to show you how. One of our teachers at Pittsfield shared how to create a math activity using everyday math, and this is through your everyday math textbook that classroom teachers have access to through Clever. And keep in mind that even if you don't have everyday math, you might have some other activity that you have acquired in the past or some lesson book that you want students to be able to write on, and you can easily turn anything like that into a Seesaw activity. But I'm going to walk you through doing this with an everyday math activity. Keep in mind that I am not a classroom teacher, so I don't have access to everyday math, but I have another couple of math worksheets that I will share with you so you can see how this process looks. To create a math activity with everyday math, first you're going to click on McGraw-Hill in your Clever screen. Next, you'll click on your teacher manual in Shannon's example. I think she did this because there are certain resources that are contained within the teacher manual that she wanted to be able to show and share. Then you'll click on the lesson that you want to use. Next, you'll click on which type of resource you want to use. In this case, she's sharing the math journal. Then you'll click on the exact resource you want to use. So these are the math journal resources for lesson 6.4. And then when you click on those resources, they show up really large on your screen, like you can see over here. Basically, you just need to shrink it down so that you can see the entire thing on your computer screen. And if you're using a Mac, the keyboard shortcut is Command minus. You can shrink it down small enough so you can see everything on your screen that you want to be able to get into that activity. Next, you'll take a screenshot, and the keyboard shortcut on your Mac for that is Shift Command 4, and your screenshot will get saved to your desktop. Unless you have your default settings changed so that it saves somewhere else, and if you do, you probably know where that is, but Shift Command 4 typically saves to your desktop. Then in the next steps, you're going to assign your activity, create a new activity, you'll name it, write your instructions, and add your math journal pages. I'm going to show you how to do that process using some pages that I have that are not everyday math, but you'll get the picture. Finally, in Seesaw, you'll continue to customize your activity. You'll add your template for student responses. You'll upload and then select from the computer. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is not an everyday math activity, but it's a good example. When you open everyday math, it will be too big to fit all on one screen. So I'm going to use this as an example. It's too big. I'm going to use Command minus to make it small enough that I can see the whole thing on the screen. I don't actually need the spot for the students to write their name because that will be included as part of their Seesaw activity. So I'm going to scroll down to here, and now I can see the whole thing. I'm going to press Shift, Command, and 4 all at the same time. And I want a second page as well. So I'm going to go to my second page and I will show you that too. Okay, so I have this lesson, and this is also 2-digit addition. And again, it's too big to fit on one page. Again, it's not actually everyday math, but you'll get the picture here. So I'm going to type Command minus until I get it small enough that I can see the whole thing on the screen. And at this point, I can do that. I'm going to capture this side that does not have the answer key on it. And I'm going to do that by tapping Shift Command 4. I'll put those crosshairs up at the top left. I don't need the name on there, but I will take those instructions, calculate each sum, and then I'm going to go all the way to where I have their URL, and I will release the mouse, and now I have a second screenshot. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in Seesaw. So in my pretend fourth grade Seesaw class, I'll click plus assign activity. Then I'll click create new activity, and I will call this math journal activity. And I will share these instructions with you so that you can use them. I'm going to just paste in these instructions that I already have. And I will share this as a template with you so that you can use it. This math activity, we're going to ask the students to add response, use a pencil or a pen to complete the worksheet, not to use the highlighter or the glow pen because they're too hard to read. I'm going to note that there are 2 pages, and when the student is finished, they should press the check mark to add it to their journal. It might not be 2 pages. You might have something else, could be 3, could be 5, it could be just 1 page. Keep in mind also that the add colon is going to put in the icon. So these are Seesaw icon shortcuts. When you're ready to add your pages, you're going to add them as a template for student response, and you'll click upload. In my case, my pages are on my desktop. It's important to upload these in the order that you want them in your Seesaw activity. And so what I'm going to do, in my case, it doesn't matter, but I'll show you how this looks. I'm going to select from my computer. I added my first one, and then I added my second one, and now I'll press the check mark. And if I want to see this from the student perspective, what they're going to see is this on page 1 and this on page 2. And it's about as big as I can make it so that they have as much space to write on as possible. You could even separate this into more pages if you wanted it to be a little bit bigger. Now, I've asked students to write using a pencil or a pen and to avoid the highlighter and the glow pen. And I'll show you what that looks like. When they use the pencil, they can write directly on the activity. So when they're finished, they can click the check mark to turn that to you. If you choose to, you can even add another page from this point. So you could click the plus add page, and then you could click the camera and upload a page from here if that's something that you are interested in doing. You can also delete pages when you're finished. And when you're done, press the check mark to save your activity or to save the items to the template. And you'll notice that it says template attached 1 of 2, so you can see that. Remember to add voice instructions for your students. Click the save button. And when you're completely finished, you'll see that there are 2 pages here. It says 1 out of 2. And it says down here, students will edit this template, also 2 pages. I will share a template for this activity for you to use with your students if you want to. I'll just delete the actual pages, and I'll make a note that you just need to remember to add your own pages. Then you'll have these instructions if you find that useful. When you're finished, you can assign it to your students. So you can assign it to everybody, or you can assign it just to the students that are working on 2-digit addition. You can put it into a folder, and if you don't have a folder yet, you can create one. This will help when the time comes for reviewing your work. You can schedule it to come out later, or you can immediately assign it to one class, or however many classes you choose to. And when you're finished, you can go look at that activity in your class. So that's how you can create a custom Seesaw activity that your students can write on using everyday math or any other booklet that you already have that you want to use. If you have a paper activity, one that's not on your computer, you can use it in Seesaw just by taking a picture with your phone. Finally, here's a link to the math journal template with instructions if you want to use that. Feel free to save and remix that activity. Just remember to add your own math pages or science pages or social studies pages. As you get more comfortable creating these kinds of custom activities, you'll find that you enjoy getting more and more creative. Keep looking at Seesaw activities, looking at Twitter, and looking at YouTube to see what other teachers are doing. In the next presentation, I'll be sharing links to other teachers who are doing really cool, fun, and exciting stuff on Seesaw, and they share completely for free.